Making the trip into the Peppermill the week after running up Reno has the feeling of going to an NFL stadium the day after a football game. Just days prior, there was an unparalleled amount of excitement, buzz, and people that have come hundreds of miles for what was, for some, a memorable experience. Now the room returns to a familiar in-town getaway for a largely predictable collection of local regulars that have come to the same casino to play the same game while sitting in the same seats and playing against the same opponents that they have for years. That reality results in a lot of people not being willing to play midweek games, especially at the time when the game starts. For me, it's a form of a challenge. Reno is my hometown, 3-5 is my game, and Thursdays and Fridays are my days off. So if I want to make money playing poker, I've got to find a way to beat the game. Which, if you've watched the last vlog, you already know hasn't been happening lately. I jump into the game and immediately pick up Queen 10 of diamonds under the gun and raise to 20. Plus 2 calls me. So with 40 in, we see a flop of 9, 4, 8 with 2 hearts and 1 diamond. I bet 30 and plus 2 makes the call. So with 100 in, the turn is the 9 of diamonds. I was planning on double barreling diamonds, but I figured that I would check here because if he did have a 9, I wanted to be able to check call and not get blown off my draw. That doesn't end up happening, though, as the turn checks through. The river comes the 3 of diamonds, giving me a flush. I bet out for 75, and he starts to think about it, ultimately to say that he thought we were chopping, which just seemed bizarre to me. He ends up finally tank folding. Later on, I raise pocket 9s under the gun, and the button calls. The small blind then 3 bets to 75, and I don't waste too much time and call. The button calls as well, so with 225 in, it comes 4 clubs, 5 of clubs, 6 of diamonds. The small blind leads out for 200, and even though he could have ace-king here, I just thought it was a bad spot to continue with a small overpair in a 3-way pot, so I just fold right there. The button promptly shoves all in for 600, making me really glad I folded. And the small blind turns over pocket queens and tanks for almost 5 minutes before folding. Next hand, under the gun plus 1, limps, and I raise pocket 6s under the gun plus 2. The cutoff calls, as does the button and a limper. So with $100 in, the flop comes slightly above average, king, king, 6. It gets checked to me, and I really hate slow playing here. What hands do I catch up to? If an ace comes and pairs someone, they won't even give me much action with 2 kings on board, and pocket pairs could certainly improve, but only to bigger boats. So if I fast play, I could play for stacks here against anyone with a king. So I opt for that route. I bet 50, which I would certainly occasionally do with a bluff as well. It folds to plus 1, who thinks about it, and finally lays it down, claiming to have had pocket jacks. I'm not sure if I buy it. Obviously, that wasn't the result I was looking for when flopping a boat, but I just wanted to emphasize the importance of fast playing in that particular spot, especially when you are the pre-flop raiser, which I was. Later on, I pick up ace-jack under the gun and raise to 20. Plus 1 calls, as does the low jack, and 2 others ultimately end up calling. So at the 100 in, it comes jack 7-7. I bet 35, not wanting pocket pairs to fold and to minimize damage if someone has a 7. Plus 1 ends up calling, and everyone else goes out. So with 170 in, the turn is a king. and I decided to down bet again because this guy could definitely be slow playing something. I bet 40, and he pretty quickly lays down what he told me was pocket deuces, which is certainly the kind of hand I was hoping to get paid off by when I made that small flop bet. Under the gun opens to 35 in the next hand, and I have pocket queens in the low jack, and I make it 95. It folds back to under the gun, and he calls. So with 190 in, the flop comes 5-8-7 rainbow. He checks, and I want to try and keep hands like pocket nines in there, so I bet 65. He thinks about it for less than 2 seconds and simply says, I'm all in. And that is a $700 raise, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously a ridiculous bet. And I had to tank on it because this makes absolutely no sense. What do you do with queens on 5-8-7 when you're raised $700 more in a spot like this? The thing that I had to factor in was that he had shown me a bluff less than an hour before that. And I know when guys show bluffs that they usually have it the next time. I honestly feared that he was slow playing pocket kings here, which is why I ultimately opted for a fold because I just didn't think he wanted to punt off his entire stack to me in this fashion, though I have seen him make some unorthodox plays before. So I make the fold, and he turns over the other two queens. So that is truly a bizarre play. Definitely a spot where I was calling him when he was beat, and I was folding when he had me. There's a $10 straddle on under the gun. +1 makes the call, and I have aces in the hijack, and I make it 40. The straddle folds, and +1 makes the call. So with 90 in, it comes Jack 9-10 with 2 diamonds. He checks, and I bet 75, and he makes the call. The turn is a Jack pairing top pair, which I didn't like. He checks. Now, normally I would still bet here, but this guy has been playing so sporadically that he might bluff the river. So I check back, and the river comes the 8 of diamonds, one of the worst cards in the deck. However, kind of an odd development on the river, he bets 30. And while I figured I could potentially raise fold here, for some reason I chose not to. I just decided to call, and looking back on it, it probably wouldn't have mattered, though I still like a raise fold. He ends up just having a 9. So I win the hand on kind of a weirdly played hand by my opponent there, but aces do end up holding up. Next hand, I look down at pocket nines in middle position and make it 20. The small blind calls, and the big blind folds. So with 40 in, it comes ace, deuce, 3, rainbow. The small blind checks, and I check. The turn's another ace, and he checks again. I bet 1 green chip, and he makes the call. So with how he's been playing, I feel that I am way ahead here in this particular spot. With 90 in the pot, the river is a 6, and he checks. I bet $25 again, assuming there's going to be no way that he can fold any of his pairs to that bet. He tanks for over a minute on this $25 bet, and finally pays me off. This is textbook thin value, which is pretty much always my game plan. Unfortunately, I didn't get a pretty big pot that I won on camera. It was a spot when my semi-bluff got there late in the session. But I was able to book a pretty nice win, something that I need to do a lot more of after a recent downswing of more than $6,000. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the drawing dead. If you watch vlogs, I'm sure you already know this man, but in the off chance you don't, Jaman Burton. Is this your first appearance at Run It Up Reno?
This, Run It Up Reno, yes. Run It Up, no. I was at Run It Up Sacramento.
Sacramento?
Run It Up Sacramento.
How's Stones doing lately? Are they in the news at all?
Fucking Stones. What a sad situation Stones is.
Who is more likely to be innocent? Mike Postle or O.J. Simpson?
OJ.
There's basically...
OJ's innocent. OJ did nothing wrong.
Of course.
He ran for 2,000 yards.
2,003 yards in 1972. Yeah, right? For the Bills in 14 games.
And he was in the airplane movies. He can do no wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's killing it on Twitter.
He was a broadcaster in the early 90s for NBC or NBC. Yeah.
And OJ's killing it on Twitter now. If you don't follow OJ on Twitter, follow OJ on Twitter.
A buddy of mine ran into him down in Vegas, like at a golf course, and somehow he had a picture with him and OJ. It was the weirdest thing. It was the weird. And for Channel 8 News where I work, I had to cover OJ getting paroled. So I was there the day he got out in Lovelock, Nevada.
Yeah.
Which was totally insane.
He was at the Bellagio one time when I was there. I didn't see him, but I heard he was in the building. How did we get on OJ?
I don't even know. What did you make of this whole Stones thing, though? I mean, in all seriousness, is it not the most insane poker story you've ever seen?
It is the most, it's the most insane example of negligence that I've seen in a long time. I mean, negligence on Stones' part, negligence on the security, some negligence even on the players, on not noticing things sooner and putting it together without Veronica tweeting. There's just a lot of, there's a lot of situations where this could have been mitigated or nipped in the bud. But, hindsight's 2020.
Well, you were there. I mean, you saw him play. I mean, what did you think of it? Were you wondering when you were there, like, what's going on? Like, how does this guy win playing the Jack 3 for a raise every time like he does?
Well, I just thought, and this is the God's honest truth, I thought he was a huge whale.
That's what I thought.
That was just on an insane amount of run good, because you'd hear stories about how bad he'd run in other streams that just, I didn't see all the streams. So you would just, people would tell you, oh, yeah, he's on a huge downswing. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense because he's playing like a ridiculous whale. He just happens to always win when I'm there. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, anyway, I love the vlog. I love what you're doing with it. Your Be Like Mike video was amazing. How did you get the idea for that? That was unbelievable.
It's funny, when that song originally came out, and that had to be like the late 80s, I was in love with the song. I was so much in love with the song, they released that song on cassette tape, as a cassette tape single. And I bought it as a cassette tape single. And so, like, when I heard the whole thing with Mike Postle, that's the first thing that jumped in my head. That'd be like Mike's song.
How did you get it past the YouTube bots for copyrighted music or whatever?
I have no idea.
Wow.
But it's not flagged even right now.
God, that's
but
awesome.
I expect it to. Sometimes it takes a while for them to flag it.
Usually it picks it up right then.
Yeah, and sometimes it picks it up in like 10 months. Like I just got a video flag the other day that I released like a year and a half ago.
Well, I love the fact too that you are a guy. I mean, you're the other guy, the kind of guy who's like me in the sense of you're not a full-time pro.
Correct.
But you do this.
Yes.
And I love to have that balance. So is that always just kind of the plan for you? You wanted to showcase that you can be a winning player and you can make content. But you don't have to be a full-time pro to do it.
Correct. But you actually, you have to think that when, like I started, or probably like when you started the vlog, you had like 2 viewers.
Yeah.
Like 2 friends and that was it. Like you didn't think thousands of people would pick this thing up and you might have to travel to other places. Like that was never part of the plan. That was never part of the original plan. The original plan was just to make a couple videos and to look back at it and kind of laugh or whatever. So all of this other like extra gravy that's been like added on top of it is like a huge bonus, but was never forecasted. Was never in my plan.
What's the best part of it for you? What have you liked the most so far?
The traveling, probably. Mm-hmm. Although right now, like currently as we sit in Reno, I'm probably traveled out. I'm going to take a break after this and just sit at home and do nothing. The traveling's the best part. The meeting other people, meeting you, and the meeting, becoming friends with like Andrew and Johnny and those guys, and coming together around this shared passion that we have for like creating content has been really cool. That's it. The traveling, meeting the fans, and when people come up and say they've been inspired by something you do or we like what you've created here, I love that.
And you must have had a video editing background, or you just picked it up real quick? Because your editing skills
Yeah,
are very impressive.
No, I don't know anything about it. I didn't know anything, nothing. No background at all. Like, if you see my first vlog, it's probably the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. Like, it's all in landscape, and then sometimes it switches to portrait for some odd reason, and I didn't understand the difference. And yeah, it's the worst thing ever. I learned probably 98% just off of watching YouTube videos. Just Googling or like YouTube searching for vlogs, and then watching somebody's vlog, and then liking a part of it, and then trying to reverse engineer how they did that.
And was there just a moment where it clicked in your mind that you can be the drawing dead, that kind of mantra would fit perfectly with what you're doing?
That's a really good question. Well, I was a big Walking Dead fan.
I was too, and then it kind of jumped the shark.
It's ridiculous now. So I was a big Walking Dead fan, and I loved their opening. So at the beginning, like the first season or so of my vlog, my Drawing Dead opening mimics almost like the Walking Dead opening. It's like shots around my house and stuff, just like the Walking Dead used to open.
That's I don't know how you made that look so much like it, but I was impressed.
And then I don't know, the name Drawing Dead just came to me. Like, I don't maybe it's like an epiphany from the angels.
It's so perfect for what you do.
Yeah.
What's been the like the most viewed video you've done, or the most popular one you think?
I made one that was maybe like my 8th or 9th vlog that was called I figured out the secret to poker or something.
The title is key.
Yeah,
the title is so
figured
key.
out the secret to poker was, and that would just like shot up. I remember I was playing in a game in St. Louis, and my phone just started ding, 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 like new subscriber, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And that was that video, and I wasn't in my mind, I wasn't even aware of like the idea or the notion of clickbait. Like, that had no clickbait, I wasn't even thinking at it. But I guess that title could be considered kind of clickbaity, like that I figured out the secret to poker. So that one took off. And then the Avoid My Apostle one that I made 10, 11 months ago has taken off now since all this My Apostle stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought I had seen that right. I was like, wait a minute, he was on this before this whole deal.
Oh, yeah. I made 2 videos. One's called Avoid My Apostle that I made last October. And then I made one, I think it was this May, and I think it was called Crazy 1-3 Game at Stones, Still Avoid My Apostle.
Yeah. Wow.
So there was something. I kind of, me and like some of my circles of friends kind of picked up that there was something going on with this kid a while ago.
Had to be.
Yeah.
And amazing. And just imagine if he was smart about it and decided to only win 75% of the time, he'd still be doing his scam. Like.
Yeah, likely.
No, I got to win 98% of the time.
Or imagine the flip side of it. If we were smart enough to figure out that he could see our hole cards, we could murder him every hand.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's true. That's good to think about.
Yeah.
You are, as I am, a Tesla driver.
Yes.
Your thoughts on it so far since you've had it?
Fantastic.
Right.
Like I can't even. I mean, I can imagine driving a gas car again, but I would not like it at all. No.
Can't go back.
I don't know. I'd go back to a horse, I think, before I'd go back to a gas car.
Any kind of bucket list items that you want to get into the vlog, that you haven't gotten into the vlog yet, that are on the horizon?
Justin Bieber. Got to get Bieber in a vlog at some point.
I know people ask you this, but what is up with you and Bieber? I know you get that a lot, but I don't know the answer.
All right. Here's the real answer.
Yeah.
It's not his music. His music is whatever. It's kind of teeny bopper or whatever. Like I'm not in love with his music. It is his work ethic. It is the passion that he puts into his craft, whatever that craft is, music or clothing. Like it's that he has a story of basically coming from nothing and having a dream and following that dream and pulling himself up by his bootstraps when everyone said he couldn't do it. That's why I like Justin Bieber.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of his songs that are all right.
Yeah, well, that's that reasoning holds up. I like that.
Yeah. So people think I'm in love with like him, like as a kid, like as a musician, like he's whatever.
And as a last question, tell us about your decision to get out here to Run It Up Reno. What was it? Did it just feel like this was kind of a phenomenon that you had to check out?
They invited me.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah,
Pretty simple.
They invited me. Yeah. They invited me, so I'm here. And yeah, I mean, I've been to Vegas numerous times. I've been to Sacramento numerous times. I'd never gotten over here to Reno or to Tahoe or anything on this side of the fence. So I was like, yeah, I'll be there.
And will you come back? Is it good enough to bring you back? Because honestly, I feel like a lot of these guys, the Andrew Nemes, the Johnny Vibes, they once they started coming, they have not missed one since.
Yeah, so far it's been great. I will say that. Unless you guys, I'm leaving Monday. Tonight what is today, Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So unless you guys do something askew in the next couple days, and I'll be back.
Great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. You too. You too.